organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, quenching the thirst of millions, how students can donate clean water to those in need by simply staying off their phones.
And one man's trash could soon be another's fuel. Details on a new Iowa City landfill proposal next.
And in sports, we're heading out to Indy for first round coverage of the 2014 women's basketball tourney.
We have it all at the top of the hour. Daily Iowan TV starts now. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Reed Chandler.
And I'm Stephen Duran. Taking your trash to the dumpster could soon affect what you put in your car at the pump. The Iowa City City Council is considering a contract with a company called Fiberite to convert waste into ethanol. This comes at a good time for Iowa City. Finding a way to divert trash from the landfill is becoming more pressing as time passes.
It's going to be a big issue, and I think it's something that we need to take a really good look at now instead of waiting 25 years down the road and having a potential problem.
Fiberite owns a corn ethanol plant in Blairstown, Iowa. It's currently being retrofitted for trash ethanol production. The council will continue negotiations in the coming months, and a final vote will likely happen this summer.
Something as simple as a glass of water is a luxury for many children in third world countries. Now UNICEF has found a way for students to quench the thirst of millions without donating a single dollar. Our own Hannah Thompson shows how tapping a button on your phone could give a child clean tap water.
Clean drinking water. We have unlimited access to it from the tap, from drinking fountains, and even from vending machines. What if you could provide that same quality water for a child who goes without it on a daily basis just by doing one simple thing? The United Nations Children's Fund TAP project is challenging people to put down their phones to provide clean water for children who have no access to it. For every 10 minutes you go without your phone, UNICEF Next Generation sponsors the donation of a day's worth of clean water for a child who lacks this resource.
We were very excited when we first discovered the TAP project. UNICEF has some really unique and awesome marketing campaigns that target especially students. So we've utilized this campaign over the last couple of years on campus.
Nearly 1,400 kids die daily due to unsanitary water, and it's UNICEF's goal to change this. The Iowa United Nations Association is pushing university students to accept this challenge and to give up something important to them in order to provide something even more important for those less fortunate. And making that difference is only a few minutes and a few unanswered texts away.
I think in this generation with new technology and so forth that we're seeing in the humanitarian field, it's becoming more accessible to students here to do something from afar that will help children and those in need elsewhere around the globe.
Hannah Thompson, Daily Iowan TV.
The TAP project is just one of many campaigns UNICEF is promoting to raise money for clean water. To date, their combined efforts have totaled over $4.5 million for those in need.
A local Iowa City landmark is beating other bookstores around the nation. That's according to Publishers Weekly. They released their nominations this week for the annual PW Bookstore of the Year Award. Prairie Lights in downtown Iowa City is now one of the top 5 bookstores in the country according to the publication. Finalists were chosen from bookstores in the U.S. that excel in buying, vendor relations, community involvement, and customer care. 3 of the 5 nominees come from the Midwest, Prairie Lights here in Iowa, 1 in Chicago, and another in Michigan.
A game of chicken between the state of California and the Midwest could be underway. Governor Terry Branstad announced Thursday he's joining a lawsuit seeking to strike down a California law regulating the living conditions of chickens. The law would take effect in 2015 and would prohibit eggs from being sold in the state if they came from hens raised in cages that don't comply with the state's new size and space requirements. Iowa is the nation's top egg producer and makes up about 9% of California's egg purchases.
Much more still on the way, but first let's hand it over to Daily Iowan TV's Nick Fisher in the weather studio for a look at your forecast.
Thanks, guys. After seeing snowfall yesterday and a high temperature of just 24, today felt almost balmy with mostly sunny skies and a high of 35. For a few more days, we can expect that to continue. Tomorrow morning, we are looking at a sunny skies and a high of 29 degrees. Heading into the afternoon, expect the clouds to roll in, but the temperature will rise to a high of 39. Don't forget to pack an umbrella. We could see some light rain with mostly cloudy skies and temperatures hovering around 35 degrees. Looking into the rest of your week, Saturday temperatures should fall off just a bit with a high of 31 and partly cloudy skies. Any snow still on the ground shouldn't stick around too long, as Sunday we are looking at clear skies and a high of 47, so we'll see a lot of sun there. Monday we will experience the warmest day thus far in 2014 with a high of 57. Tuesday high drops off just a bit to 43 with a 60% chance of showers, and next Wednesday we will see highs in the mid-30s with partly cloudy skies. That's all for the weather tonight. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Nick. And the freezing temperatures this winter has most of us being thankful for a warm bed and a roof over our heads. But when the shelters fill to capacity, where did the homeless go? This year, the halls of Iowa City Hall filled up nightly with homeless visitors. Iowa City police say it's safer than having them enter apartment complexes illegally to find warmth. And they're asked to leave at 6 a.m. each morning, but welcome back after business hours. The city says they don't currently have plans to allow the homeless to stay in City Hall next winter, but it's a case-by-case basis, and they'll let the cold decide.
And now it's time for this week's edition of Spotlight Iowa City. We'll hand it over to our own Megan Horahan to see who gets the spotlight this week. Megan?
When tragedy strikes, it can be so easy for us to shut down the rest of our lives and focus on the issue at hand. But imagine being diagnosed with cancer while in college, juggling between classes and chemotherapy, worrying about that midterm exam while also worrying about your own survival. It's not something you hear about often, but our own Matt Starn spoke to a girl here at the UI who juggled cancer and college at the same time. Here's her story.
3 years ago, UI junior Bailey Ford got some unbelievable news.
Once they finally diagnosed me, I was kind of like, didn't really believe it. I was like, oh no, I'm 19, that can't happen to me, I gotta go back to school. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office, and the first question I asked was, am I gonna lose my hair? And they said, yeah, and it was like down to like here, like my belly button almost, and then I just kind of tuned him out.
Ford had to put her studies on hold for an entire year, moving to Rochester, Minnesota for leukemia treatment at the world-renowned Mayo Clinic.
Then I started my chemo. The first IV of all that round stuff, that was really hard, definitely the worst part. Lots of bone marrow biopsies and lots of needles and spinal taps and more shots, and that was my first year of it. And I had acute promyelocytic leukemia, so that's like a 3-year treatment.
After the worst of the chemo at the Mayo Clinic, Ford was able to move back to Iowa City and continue her treatment at the UI hospitals and clinics while being closer to friends and family. With their support, Ford was able to continue her studies and treatment together as a full-time student at the university.
It wasn't as hard as like people are like, oh wow, I can't believe you're going to school and on chemo, and it's like everyone was bending over backwards for me to get back, so that made it 10 times easier.
Ford said her experience has shaped her current course of study. She's going to pursue a career as an oncology nurse. Matt Starnes, Daily Iowan TV.
And Bailey actually just finished her last round of chemo last week, just in time for midterm exams. We wish you the best, Bailey. Back to you guys.
There's a $50 million marketing campaign that wants to help you better keep track of what you're consuming. It's called Facts Up Front, and it's an effort to show basic nutrition facts on the front of food beverage packages. It's launched by the Grocery Manufacturers Association and Food Marketing Institute. Local retailer Hy-Vee is taking part, and store dietitian Kathy Garris says it will help consumers make healthier choices.
If they can find the information that they are looking for in order to make their buying decisions, it's going to help them to eat healthier, which is going to help our nation to be healthier, and that can only be a good thing.
Supporters of the new labeling system say having nutrition information on the front will make shopping quicker and easier for shoppers, even if it does make it harder to throw those Oreos in the cart.
The Big Ten women's tourney kicking things off this afternoon, Stefan.
That's right, Reed. And big news in men's hoops, wrestling as well. Whitney Blakemore and Aaron Faust are standing by in the sports studio, guys.
That's right, Stefan. Men's hoops in Michigan to take on number 22, Michigan State. And Tom Brand's Grapplers gearing up for a trip to Madison.
But we start tonight at the Big Ten Women's Basketball Championships. Alongside Aaron Faust, I'm Whitney Blakemore. Downtown Indianapolis, the site of the Hawks' first-round matchup with the Fighting Illini. And well, let's just say the Hawks got a little more than they bargained for.
Black and gold coming into this one as arguably the hottest team in the Big Ten with their wins in 11 of their last 14, including just last weekend against the same Illini.
Bluder's bunch struggling out of the gates Thursday afternoon, taking a 1-point lead into the half. But a career-high 26 from junior Bethany Doolittle was enough to put the Hawks through to the second round. Final score, Iowa 81, Illinois 62.
Our own Taylor Axelson and Rachel Bedell on the hand for this one. Taylor, Rachel, what did you see from these Hawks?
Hey, it's Rachel Bedell and Taylor Axelson here. We're here in Indianapolis at Baker's Life Fieldhouse on the first day of the Women's Big Ten Tournament.
We're going to be trying to bring you guys as many live updates as possible, so make sure you're keeping up with us and check out DITV and our live blog.
But for now, we got some post-game sound of the Hawkeye win.
It was excellent for us to get that motivation going into the locker room, that momentum going into there, but also for us to do it without Sam Logic. I think that was a key, because it's going to happen again.
I mean, that was a fun win for us. I mean, going into tomorrow, it's definitely a confidence booster. We are going to be so excited for this game just because our last game against them didn't go as we planned, and we feel like we should have had that one, and I think tomorrow we'll be really energetic, really excited to get out there and do our best against them.
Of course, more coverage of the women's tournament from Indy all weekend long. You can catch that on dailyiowan.com. But Erin, there's a men's game in progress right now too.
That's right, Whitney. Men's basketball looking for their first win at the Breslin Center in over a decade before playing their final game at Carver Hawkeye Arena this Saturday. Earlier this afternoon, I sat down to put the 2014 season into perspective for Iowa's 3 senior stars. Just last year, Iowa entered senior night with a chance to cap the 2012-2013 season with a 500 mark in conference play, which before last year had not been seen since the 2006-2007 season. A 74-60 win over Nebraska secured a 9-9 Big Ten record, but it wasn't enough to put Iowa into the Big Ten Conference after a devastating loss in the Big Ten tournament to Michigan State. They ended up going to the NIT, where they placed second after dropping the final in Madison Square Garden to Baylor. Fast forward a year where Iowa is 9-7 in conference plays with 2 games left on their regular season schedule. Rather than talking about the NCAA tournament bubble, Fran McCaffrey and company are focusing on the here and now.
Why are we talking about a #1 seed in February? Who cares? Somebody's going to be a #1 seed, so you're a 2 seed. Who cares? Get in. Go try to win.
Fans have been opening their arms all across the country for the team. The effort from McCaffrey to turn around a program that was once the laughingstock of the Big Ten has been tremendous and well documented, but might not have been possible without the current crop of seniors. The 3 seniors have arguably played their best season while wearing an Iowa jersey, one of them being the headliner for a Big Ten Player of the Year, Devin Marble. Hawks will play their last home game of this season against Illini on Saturday. Erin Faust, Daily Iowan, TV Sports. Hoops not the only thing on tap this weekend. In the Iowa sports, Tom Brands and the nation's second-ranked wrestling squad begins their Big Ten championship this Saturday in Madison.
Brands and his team both confident and ready to go for this one.
I mean, we want to win the Big Ten as a team. We want to be Big Ten individual champions. But we want to be the national champion and the national champions in our weight class.
There's huge sense of urgency. I mean, for me, there's 2 things missing. There's Big Ten titles and national championships. So, you know, got to take it one step at a time. And right now, it's Big Ten championships, and then we'll go from there after that.
Be sure to catch our latest webisode, Matside, for full coverage of that. But unfortunately, that is it for us tonight.
Courtside back in the studio this Sunday. But for now, Reed, Stefan, back to you at the desk.
That's all we have for you tonight, but be sure to read Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan.
We conclude our 5-part series on sexual assaults at the UI by looking at how helpful a second night ride bus would be.
And A World for Women, read about the Iowa United Nations Association's celebration of International Women's Day this evening and how they want to help end violence against women.
Thanks for tuning in this evening. We'll be back at the same time on Sunday, or you can catch us anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.